All right, we're back. DC and the Sunshine Man, Dave Koken, Cofield. Interesting night in sports. Got to look ahead of the ball games, look ahead in the NFL, go back to Thursday Night Football, go back a couple of days to both UNLV basketball and Vegas Golden Knights. So if you're joining us here as we get some viewers in, if you want to comment, your best bet is to watch on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook, because Twitter, for some reason, doesn't have the interface correct yet. That's not even the right word, but comments aren't coming through. So what's up, Dave?
Well, it wasn't my luckiest night of the year. I lost an overtime game with Calgary. Carolina's goaltender, Freddie Anderson, I think he had a force field behind him tonight because there were like 5 shots that got through him and somehow didn't go into the net. It's going to happen sometimes. No complaints with the hockey.
Anything else tonight?
I had a small play in the Steelers, which I didn't really watch much of the game, so I can't comment on it. I know they made a hell of a comeback, and I saw the last play of the game and, catch the ball. Ben doesn't throw the ball real well anymore. That was a great pass, and it's right there, and you got to catch that. It's as simple as that. But he didn't, and that's the end of that. Steelers are clearly not a playoff team, and neither are the Vikings.
Yeah, you don't think the Vikings can make a run?
No. No, I don't think they're very good, and I think Zimmer's probably done. Had they lost tonight, I might have just faded them the rest of the season because they were off a couple of bad games. The San Francisco game was not good, and obviously you lost to the Lions, which that's not good. And they did everything they could to blow this game tonight. I mean, you're up a ton, and you let a team with a bad offense put, 5 touchdowns, 4.5 touchdowns up in the last quarter and a half. That's pretty bad. They're not a very good team. I will probably look to play against them down the stretch. I don't think there's much there.
They are right now in the 8 hole. Eagles, Vikings 6-7, football team, and Niners 6-6. So I mean that's kind of the problem in terms of writing them off. The other thing about the Vikings, they play the Bears next week, and they play the Bears to close the season, and then they control their own destiny against. I mean, they're tough teams, the Rams and the Packers, but if they could actually split with them and take care of the Bears, then all of a sudden you're looking at a 3-1 close. I mean, they got a shot, but you're right. There's a lot of distressing signs with this team.
With the expanded playoffs, there's going to be a couple of kind of not so good teams that make it every year. I think of the bunch that's pretty much tied right now, I think San Francisco is clearly the best team out of that bunch, but the 49ers find ways to lose games. They should be better than they've been. They've got a big game this weekend at Cincinnati. I think the 49ers, on paper, 49ers absolutely should win the football game. They're better than Cincinnati. But, we see them lose games that they're supposed to win, so I don't know if they'll get it done or not. I'm going to give them a bet, but I can't say that I'm overwhelmed with confidence.
I think my mic's working now, right? Better?
I hear you. I hear no echo. Yeah, you had an echo before, so.
I did.
Yeah. Now it sounds fine.
It was on the computer, the camera mic, so. Well, I will admit, and by the way, Chris, what's going on? Long time no speak. RJ, always showing up when we do these. Appreciate it. Like I said, Brady's here. The podcast lives. We're trying. I know it's been my fault the last couple of Thursdays. Dave's always ready to go. So, again, if you want to make comments, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, the best ways to get through. So, Dave, I will say I had one of my favorite betting losses tonight. I will often make bets, and this is why I don't bet a lot of money, but I will often make bets so that I win either way, right? And it's often with my teams. So if my team is going to get destroyed, then you know what? At least I win some money on it. So
I know where you're heading on this one.
I looked at it before the game, and I actually mentioned it on the air. And I was asking Willie because he was on Cofield and Company tonight, and I was like, Willie, do you bet against your teams? Because I do it all the time. Because I'm not the head over the betting with your head over the heart. You do have to do it. And if your team's in a bad spot, you bet against them. I'm not rooting for. It's not like I was betting $2,200 on the game, but I bet it. And then this was the end. I don't know if you watched the game. It was a crazy game where Purdue they couldn't put away Rutgers, and Rutgers got a great shooting performance from Ron Harper, their best player. And this is actually a good win because their second best player's out, and I think their sixth man, he only played like 5 minutes because I think he's got the flu and Andre Hyatt. But anyway, this is one of those guys in the Rutgers crowd. He's got the reflective glasses on, and they hit a buzzer beater just in front of half court to win it. And here's this kid's reaction. Here we go.
Put it up, Ron.
And they celebrated by eating 3 whole pizzas.
Why not? Right? I don't know if I don't know what it was called. Skinny Vinny's is still open, but if it is, my rotund friend probably down some hoagies. Well, we don't call them hoagies in that part of the state, but some subs and some pizzas. So that was pretty cool.
Good stuff. Nice win for Rutgers, and the curse of being number 1 continues.
Yeah, it's not easy, and you know what? It's funny. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Purdue's a bitch to play because they're gigantic. The Travion Williams and it felt like I was watching the game. Travion Williams and the other kid, Eddie, right? Edie, whatever his name is, the big kid, Zach Eddie.
The kid who's 9'6" and 700 pounds.
Dude, it was ridiculous. It felt like they scored 50 points and grabbed 45 rebounds. Like every time they threw in the post, it was either a foul or an easy layup. So it was a good win, and they didn't have Geo Baker, one of their best players, so it was neat. And I'll tell these stories tomorrow on the air too. When I was in school, I got to rush the court twice. Someone was asking, "Hey, is this the best victory in Rutgers history?" And I didn't want to be a dick. It's like they've never beaten a number 1 team before. Their best win, highest rated team was the number 2 UCLA in 1981. But I was at 2 games where they made the NCAA tournament my first year by winning the Atlantic 10 tournament against Penn State, which people might not think is a big deal, but they had a shitty run in the 80s, Rutgers. So that was cool. I rushed the court that time. And then, believe it or not, see how things come full circle. In 91, the 91-92 season, Dave, the year that Tark was, finally things were going to start going south.
Yep.
Right after the 2 glamour years, they had a team with J.R. Ryder and Dexter Boney and what was it? Was it Elmore Spencer? I got to look up all the guys, but it was a good team. And UNLV went 26-2 that year. They lost back-to-back games early in the season, and it was Rutgers and Missouri. I think they were both on the road, and then they closed out the year with, I believe, 23 or 24 wins in a row. And I was at that game, and it was that was one of the loudest buildings I've ever been in.
Oh, back then,
Rutgers
you beat UNLV back then. That was big stuff.
The year before, Rutgers had come out to the Thomas and Mack, and I think they lost like 115-73. So I was not privy or very much up on betting the night that they came back for the return trip, which, by the way, that was a good home and home for Rutgers. But I wonder if I could find out the line. I mean, UNLV had to be laying like 12, 13, 15 points that night on the road. So
that I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's just a random game, but and Purdue actually tonight as a number 1 team was laying 13.5 on the road. So I laid it.
Well, yeah,
I was happy to lose it.
Rutgers was shorthanded. Really, Harper, the only strong player that they had on the court, and it's a terrific win for them. And again, you get to host that number 1 team early in the season. It's a really big event, and sometimes it's not as big an event for the number 1 team. I mean, Purdue is coming off a couple of bigger wins, we'll put it that way, and clearly did not play their best game tonight. I didn't see it, but I don't have to see it to know that they did not play real well.
Who is the best team right now, do you think? Or you can't even say? Do you still think it's Gonzaga?
No. No, I think the team that beat him is probably better.
You think Duke is, huh?
Yeah, and I think Duke's got a real good chance to win it all because you can greet this with skepticism if you want. But I think with this being the finale for Coach K, he's going to get a good draw come NCAA tournament time.
Be interesting. People complain about the officiating all the time around Duke games. That'll be interesting too.
Yeah. And he's got a real good team.
He does.
Well,
it was a bad. It was a bad matchup for Gonzaga because, I mentioned it a couple times already. Drew Timme playing against West Coast Conference teams, playing against smaller teams, flexing his muscles and hooting and hollering. Like, bruh, you got a lot to prove this year because Baylor smacked you in the face and you looked weak. And then Duke did the same thing, with Banchero, who's, a big guy at 6'10" and 240. And then the Williams kid, who's, 7 foot and 245 for Duke, he smoked them. So,
well, and let's remember,
they got to freaking nut up from a physical standpoint to beat some of these teams.
The win against UCLA, it is a little tainted because half the UCLA team was sick. Not with COVID. There are other viruses that go around, and they were sick, and it showed in that game. UCLA is better than they showed in that game against Gonzaga. UCLA is a real threat.
I agree with you. I worry about their depth a little bit, but you know what? Even Gonzaga doesn't really play a whole lot of guys, so Gonzaga's only got like 7 deep.
No, look, I mean, once you get down to tournament time, you could get a 7-man or 8-man rotation. The other guys are just there for practice. You don't want to go deeper than 7.
The thing you worry about is the big positions. If you only have 2 bigs, and all of a sudden these guys start getting whistle happy, and your bigs are in foul trouble, then that could that gets you in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, how much Holmgren improves between now and tournament time will have a lot to do with how good or how far a run Gonzaga makes. The learning curve is still there for Holmgren, but his ceiling is enormous. But he's got to work on his footwork. I think he's got to get stronger. We'll see if the grind wears him down because he's kind of a skinny guy. But the talent level for that kid, boy, can you imagine being that tall and he can go anywhere on the court and drain a shot. Get great moves on the inside. What a he's just got a great future.
So I'm gonna go down this path. I'm not gonna do it often because I'm not gonna sit here and harp on the situation because if you don't care, and I don't think it's most of the people watching, but it's people in Las Vegas. If you don't care, then I don't care to talk about it. If you're not passionate about this, and what I'm referencing is UNLV can't play at the Thomas and Mack in this time period. NFR is there. It's been the same fucking thing every year. Okay. So they have to decide what to do. Do they go on the road and play tough games and potentially lose, more of those types of games? Or do they schedule some teams in town, play at the Orleans, play at Mandalay Bay, play at T-Mobile? Well, that's what they've chosen to do in recent years. And Dave, I swear to God, it's been the same thing for like 10 or 12 years. Probably more, I'll say the last 6 or 7, right? Because the team hasn't been great. They've been, kind of around 500. When they go to these other venues, the season ticket holders every year are like, wait, what's going on? Like, we don't get, our tickets aren't good there. Like, they're not fucking good. Okay. Like, I'm sorry to curse, but like, I see the same goddamn thing every time there's no attendance at T-Mobile or the Orleans or, and even back a few years ago, and compared to now, it would be great. Like, say 3,000 of the fans showed up to MGM for a game against Oregon, right? So last night, Dave, I shit you not, there were less than 500 people there. And I looked up, they counted it. They actually put out the attendance at 637, right? Hey, good for them. Yeah, that's what it was. And I swear the comments from supposed UNLV fans they've gotten so embarrassing now. Like there is no price point that will make them happy. Like they literally, people are like, they should give away tickets for free. Like,
well, I think they are for the next game, right?
There actually were free tickets on some of the ticket reseller sites or what are those? You buy tickets for like the whole year, whatever it is, Vegas seats or something. They were there. there were 20% off the tickets in an actual deal from BD Global, who's hosting the game. Like, they don't control the tickets for this. They have to partner up with the venue and a promotions company. They can't give you free tickets. So then I hear, like, I tweeted out last night because some people were like, well, I looked and the tickets were very expensive. I looked before the game on the actual ticket site. There were $29 to $79 to get in the building, right? So I put out, there were $29 tickets to get in. Someone's like, don't be disingenuous. They were $42. Like, what is the fucking difference? $42? And then, of course, well, the parking. I mean, and then the other one. Oh, it's a hassle to get down to the Strip. It's Mandalay Bay. I got in and the crowd was small, so but you know how easy it is to get in and out of Mandalay Bay.
Mandalay Bay, you don't need. Look, I mean, obviously for anybody,
Planet Hollywood or Caesars in the middle of the Strip,
right? For those who don't live here, Mandalay Bay it's on the Strip, but it's down the road. If you're on the west side of town, you never even have to cross Las Vegas Boulevard. You just shoot in down a number of roads that can take you right in. It's easy.
I went 15 to Russell, went around the block, around the stadium, zipped right in. Listen, it's like I said, it's not worth screaming and yelling about. I'm not going to do it on the air because
people love to complain.
That's what it is.
All you have to do is look.
They've always done it. They've always done it.
Click on any topic on Facebook. Any topic, doesn't matter what it is, and you'll just see complaint after complaint after complaint. People just love to bitch. Whiny little bitches. A lot of them around.
Yep. And here's the thing. You can't have it both ways. If you legitimately care to see the program win, you got to put some of your money into the program. And to me, if tickets are $40, and trust me, for $29 and the fees, you would have gotten in. You could have moved down. Mandalay's a small arena anyway. You weren't going to be stuck in the upper level. I mean, it's... I don't even know what to say to people anymore. I'm like, you don't say you don't care. You've given up, because I will fire back with, because the other one is, Dave, people are like, oh, I mean, they've just been mediocre for so long. I just showed you a video. You mother effers. I am a Rutgers fan. Do you know what that's like? And that building is sold, and it's only an 8,000 seat building, but that building is sold out the rest of the year because they got a little taste of winning the last couple of years. And I've got UNLV fans who are like, oh, I mean, it's just been too rough. Just the mediocrity. Okay, then you're not a fan. And I also don't believe, well, I mean, what are they doing scheduling up against a VGK game? We're a city of 2.3 million people. 637 people at a basketball game? Come on.
That's disgusting.
Come on. It's ridiculous. So I don't know,
but
man.
that is what they're up against now.
Yeah,
they've become. There's just no other way to say it. It's a pro sports town now. Saw this happen back east in cities where colleges were pretty big.
Yeah,
and the pro teams, once the pro teams were established, it's kind of like you don't matter much anymore. That's why you can't get there hasn't been a decent college basketball team out of New York City in how long? Yeah. They're all non-entities now. New
York and Boston,
Yeah.
It's like the pro sports. I mean, they both had pro sports forever, but yeah, St. John's is a complete, nothing in New York City, nothing.
Yeah, and out here, it's a Golden Knights Raiders town, and if we get a baseball team, which certainly has some possibilities, it's going to be even more the case. I don't think there's a solution to that.
I think that they have to win at a high level. And then even at that point, I think it would take a couple of years of doing that. And I guess you could throw money at the problem and bring in some $5 million a year coach, but I don't think it'll work. I think the person could win, but I still don't know that 15,000 people would show up for basketball.
No, and they're in the they're in the Mountain West.
Well, I mean,
so it's not even a big league they're not even in the major leagues of college basketball or college sports.
Well, I mean, they'd have to kind of do what Tark did in the day, and you try to bring in, do home and homes, and you have to have a loaded schedule. And but I will tell you, I mean, this whole year's been all screwed up too, because then there's a lot of people leaning on they're pissed about the fully vax thing at the Thomas and Mack. Well, T-Mobile doesn't require that, nor does Mandalay Bay. And then I see people, we're boycotting. Well, what good does that do? Then why even come back? You're going to try to hurt the program for a year? What message are you sending? It's stupid.
I boycotts. I just can't. Look, if you don't want to go for some reason, just don't go.
Or just right.
We're boycotting. And by the way, these boycotts are all fucking stupid. Okay, the NFL viewership this year. You remember how many people went? Oh, Kaepernick. I'm boycotting. Screw the NFL. Their numbers are unbelievable. Okay, so most of those people are full of shit anyway. You know they're watching the games.
Of course they are. Of course. Now the NFL is one thing for college basketball. I mean, if you're a casual fan and you decide not to watch it, that's your boycott. Go ahead and do it, I guess.
I think it's the boycott word is convenient for people. But the real thing is you're just not particularly interested.
Right.
Okay. Which is okay.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You never were.
Just say it. Don't lie.
To explain it, Razorback, UNLV decided at Thomas and Mack for basketball that they wanted everyone fully vaccinated. So people are all pissed off about that. Football didn't do that. And UNLV did run the risk. They rolled the dice here. But here's the thing. At T-Mobile and at Mandalay for now, it's going to be 4 games total. There's no vax mandate there. You can do anything you want. They weren't even policing the match thing. And people are still not going to show up. So people just aren't that interested. And just say it. That's fine. You don't have to come up with excuses. You can't afford it. This trip's a hassle. Oh, it's the vax. Like,
and look, reality is
just say, how about that? Better than I'm not interested. I only root for winners. I am a front runner. This town is a town of winners, and I'm not going to go. Okay, then we accept that.
And the reality is, and I don't, I said this for a long time while we were still doing the show together, and now it's even further removed. There's so many fans. The number of fans that are living in the past is actually decreasing because they weren't even around for the past.
Yep.
Okay. Most of the people who live here now have no connection whatsoever. This is the vast majority of people who live in this city now have zero connection with the UNLV glory days. They don't even know they existed.
Nah.
Okay. People my age might know they existed.
Right.
But it's 30 years ago.
Nah.
I mean,
Chris says, I'd go if they were playing Kansas. You know what? Kansas was here right around the holidays about 3 years ago, and they got a good crowd. It's a crowd they dream of now. They had probably 12 or 13,000 in the T&M for that one. It's funny when, I mentioned that going back, when I was in school, Rutgers playing UNLV, and I was writing up on Twitter. I'm like, hey, this is a really big victory against the number 1 team. They've never done that before. But, when I was in school, like it was really big when they beat UNLV, and someone responded with some kind of meme. They were like beating UNLV, like they were all confused that was a big thing. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It was 1991. Yeah. I don't remember. It's freaking 30 years ago. So for younger people, they're like, what?
If you're under the age of 50, unless you grew up here, you have no knowledge of that. Who? I mean, it's ancient history.
So, but let me ask you this. So, and the media is very down with doing this. Like, we're like, yay, sports. We're a great sports town, right? Are we a great event town, or are we a great sports town? Because we're seeing what's happened to UNLV football and basketball. By the way, the Cincinnati Raiders game, there were plenty of seats available upstairs because Cincinnati, that year one with attendance. And the other one is, did you see what some VGK fans did last night to Robin Leonard?
No.
He was pulled after giving up 3 power play goals. And
he wasn't pulled because he was playing badly. It was DeBoer said it after the game. He said, I decided to try and give the team a spark, and it worked.
Between booing and cheering, they mocked on Leonard as he was being pulled. I'm like, wow. The fandom, portions of that fan group, cut it out, man. I don't know what it says about the fans. They're like, hard-edged Northeast fans. They'll boo anyone. Or what a bunch of disloyal jerks. Cheering that Leonard's going out of the game. Cut it out.
Well, I got to tell you something, and this is maybe the downside of winning right away. We might have the most spoiled fan base in the country, in the entire NHL. Because, I mean, what this team's accomplished in 4 years is amazing. It's incredible. It's never been done before. Okay, no expansion team has ever reached the finals in its first year, and the Knights have been contenders every season. I can just imagine what happens when they have a down season, because I think this team's going to be okay now that they're getting people back.
Oh, of course.
Just, they're going to be solid again. But at some point, inevitably,
Yeah.
unless you're coached by Bill Belichick, I guess, you have a down period. So you have to wonder what'll happen at that point. No, we're an event town anyway.
Hey, Dave, do me a favor. Carry it for a couple seconds. I got to go downstairs real quick.
All right.
Let's go.
I haven't done this for a while. I'll do a monologue.
Real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I guess what do you guys want to talk about? If there's anything you want to talk about, fire it up on the comment screen. I can only see the comments on StreamYard, by the way. So I don't know that I'm seeing all the comments. Anyway, we'll stay on the subject of Las Vegas fans. I don't think there's any question that the fans will show up, because they're not all Las Vegas fans. We get fans from every place. This is why I've always felt that pro sports have a better chance to work here than in most cities, because you're not reliant on the locals. This was the argument I had for years and years, and it was constant when I was doing call-in stuff with Steve and with John Hanson and whoever before that. I'd always get the argument, well, this is a 3-shift town, and you're not going to be able to. And my argument was, it doesn't matter. The locals they don't matter as far as a pro sports team goes, because for almost any team that comes into Las Vegas, you're going to get a ton of visiting fans. We see it all the time in hockey. We're going to see it most of the time in football. If baseball does arrive here, you'll see it in even more spectacular fashion, because you'll be looking at 3 and 4 game series. So people will be more anxious to come here, and they might not go to all 4 games, but they'll go to 1 or 2 of them, and then they'll go do whatever people do in Las Vegas for the other ones. Pro sports have always been a can't miss here. I said that anybody who's followed me over the years knows I've been saying this since the 1990s. And I was right. And I am still right on that. So that's why I think baseball will succeed on a huge level here, be it the A's or whoever. This town's made for a Major League Baseball team. And if you want to argue that, I'll tell you right now, you're wrong, because we've already got proof of that. Hockey in Las Vegas? Huh. Okay. And the NFL can work anywhere. The only sport, and I think they'd be okay, but the only sport I still have some questions about is actually the NBA. I don't know if the NBA works all that well here. There is a substantial segment of the population that does not want the NBA to come here. That's the only sport they feel that way about. There are some who didn't want the Raiders to come here, but it's more pronounced with the NBA.
Right.
Now, whether they're right or not, or whether their reasons are right or not, don't matter. The fact is they don't want and that's just fact. That's not opinion. There is a significant percentage of the population that does not want the NBA to come here. And I think that's why the NBA at this point has not come here yet.
I also, back to the UNLV thing, I also think fans are a bit overextended. We do have a lot of sporting events in town.
Yeah.
There's only so much disposable income and time. That's the other thing.
And not only that, but
to go to games.
Show tickets. Local people like to go to shows too. They're not cheap. You see the prices on Adele?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Boy, am I out of touch.
I know, right?
I saw the prices and it's like, how much? I mean, she's a great singer. She's extraordinarily talented, but there's just no chance I could ever pay
thousands of dollars for a ticket.
No.
I know.
But people are going to do it. And that includes local people who are very excited about her establishing a residency here, and they want to go.
Yep. And you saw she dropped the hammer with her vax requirements, right? Fully vaxxed, and you have to bring a negative test.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So the great thing is people are flipping out about that. Like, one, you can't afford the show. 2, you weren't going to go to the show anyway. So what do you care?
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah. I mean, is it overboard on her part? I don't. Maybe. I don't know. So then don't
Who
go to the
knows?
show.
I don't know.
I wasn't going.
I don't know. I've stopped caring about mandates or anything else. All I can tell you is I got my 2 Pfizer shots early on. I got my booster on Wednesday. And if I have to get more boosters, I guess I'll do it because the thing does keep mutating. So there are going to be new strains. Hopefully they'll be as apparently not so harmful as the one that's out now. Looks like it's not too bad, but you never know what's going to happen with the next one. And the only thing I tell people now is, because I'm not going to preach, go see your doctor. If your doctor says get the shot, then get the shot. That's the easiest thing in the world. Okay? Because if you don't trust your own doctor, you better find another doctor. At some point, you're going to need a doctor. That is an inevitability, unless you get killed in a car crash or something like that.
Right.
If you live out your normal life, at some point, you're going to need a doctor. If you don't have a doctor you can trust, find another doctor and then do what the doctor tells you to do without trying to pretend you're a fucking expert, because you're not. Okay? Go with your doctor. My doctor told me, yes, get the vaccination. I called him and said, should I get the booster? He said, yes, get the booster. And that's the end of the conversation. He said to go get it. Go get it. And then I get some idiots saying, well, that's because the doctors are all in cahoots with the drug companies. The doctor isn't the one giving me the shot. He's not making anything out of it. I went to Walgreens, for Christ's sakes. People are stupid. I mean, it's just stupid. You are not an expert on the vaccines or on virology. Or you're not. Okay? Stop pretending you are. Call your doctor.
Brady says his doctor, Joe Rogan, said he's good.
If Joe Rogan's your doctor, then by all means go with what he says. And I know, he has several medical degrees, doesn't he?
Apparently.
But anyway, as far as I'm not pro mandate. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care.
Yeah, and there'll be things you can attend and things you can't attend. So I don't know.
Yeah, and if you get sick or sicker than you should have been because you didn't get vaccinated, tough shit. No sympathy at all for those people. Oh, I wish I'd gotten vaccinated now. Well, you had a chance, you didn't. Fuck you. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done being nice with people.
You're consistent.
Yeah, I'm not that nice anyway.
I was going to say I probably heard this rant on some other topic. Too bad. I don't care. We told.
No,
you
I
to
don't.
do it.
I don't. At least I don't bullshit about being. At least you never get phony compassion out of me. Right. Okay, if I where I have actual sympathy, and I know this is when people have tragedy in their lives, and that can be on things that you wouldn't think are. To me, my heart goes out to people who have to put their dogs or cats down. That I feel real compassion for. I wish I could give them all a hug, because that sucks. But for most stuff, I mean, when I see news items, and here we go with the thoughts and prayers, I got to be honest with you, I didn't know those people. And if I were to sit here and say, oh, I feel terrible, I mean, I feel bad, but it's like for a minute, and then I go on to the next thing. So I'm just not going to bullshit anybody about stuff.
You don't feel like a bad person if you don't run to social media when something bad happens and put your thoughts and prayers up there?
No. Well, first of all, I have no prayers.
I always look.
I'm not knocking anybody who does, but
I always look for Dave's thoughts and prayers, and I get mad for a couple of minutes. I'm like, why didn't Dave show any compassion for this situation?
I'm not a very compassionate person.
Well, I don't think you're in need of attention either. So you don't need to have anyone reinforce that you're a good person. So
no, I don't care if somebody thinks I am or not. To be honest with you,
other people out there who I think are
part of the reason I've survived as long as I have in the business I'm in. Because you got to have thick skin to be in the pick selection thing. And yeah, it doesn't bother me very much. I know I'm going to get criticized when I have a bad run or a bad night, and I'm going to have bad runs. because that's the nature of gambling. Nobody wins all the time. All I tell people is, look, here's my figures for this year or last year or the year before. And
Right.
if you don't think that's good, you're living in a dream world. So I really don't care about you.
It's like I'm
I mean,
pushing 70, and I've been doing this for like 40 plus years. So
50 now.
yeah, okay, 50.
It's
There you go.
I'll be 60. I'm going to be 69 in, let's see, 35 days. And I've been involved in gambling since I was a kid.
Yep.
So
You're still doing it.
I still wish I was a kid.
Yeah.
I would love to go back and relive some
Oh
of
my
those years. They were an awful lot of fun. Yeah, God, I love the 80s in this town. By the way, I got to get this. I missed my dentist appointment, and this space here, this
It's
missing
on
tooth.
I think it's on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I
Falling
can
apart, my man. You're falling apart.
well, they had to take the tooth out,
Oh boy.
and I've got a replacement on the way.
I feel compassion for that. There's nothing worse than teeth problems. So I have
Actually,
my own.
there's not much worse than teeth. Toothaches are not fun,
It sucks. It really sucks.
and cracking teeth is even worse. When
Uh-huh.
I broke this one on a chicken bone.
Oh no.
Yep. And the chicken was so good too. And it was like, God damn it.
Can't finish eating the chicken.
It was Kentucky fried, which every once in a while I will break down.
Oh
I
really?
don't do it often, but I do. I have to tell you, I do like it. I don't know what's in their secret recipe, but I've
Wow.
always liked it.
I
it's
would have
good.
not. I would have never thought that Koken was a KFC junkie.
Yeah. No,
That's all.
I'm not junkie. Maybe once every couple of months. It's like, got to get some of those wings and thighs. It's good.
Nice.
It is. It's good.
Oh, you're a thigh guy.
Oh, if they're good thighs.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm going to do something I rarely do.
Yeah.
I don't generally criticize restaurants, but Wingstop has now got a thigh stop.
Yeah. Is it not good?
You might want to pass on that one.
Really? I was so fired up.
Not,
You know, that's one of those marketing
they are-
campaigns that got me. Not good.
They're about this
tiny.
size,
Weak.
and let's just say that thighs are supposed to be juicy.
I don't know. All dry.
Yeah, it's one thing if the breasts are dry. I know breasts can dry out, but they were disappointing.
All right.
You know,
All
it's not. By the way, it's underrated. Nevada Chicken Cafe.
Is that
Good
the one?
chicken.
How many
You don't
are there?
get I know there's two. There's one at the Royal Crossing,
There one at Sahara and
and
Jones?
there's one and the one that the original. As far as I know, the original's on Sahara.
Yeah.
They have good product, good food.
All right. Damn. Now
And
we're
they've
all.
got and they've got a
we're
nice
all-
cheese.
What time is it?
They have a nice cheesecake too.
Really? All right.
Yes.
I know. It was getting a little confusing. We were doing the suggestive thigh.
Both,
thigh-
Brady. Juicy thighs on chicken and women are both pluses. You don't want dry.
No one's gonna
Yeah.
fight. Yeah, you don't want dry. Let me give you a couple NFL games, and then I want a couple
All right.
of bowl games, and then we can wrap it for the night.
Well, I want to touch on the Bulls for a second first.
Okay, let's do it.
I haven't made a bet yet, and I used to love to get down on the Bulls right away.
Yeah.
For value purposes, I think it's a really dangerous road to go down because of the opt-outs. You don't know who's playing or not. I mean, we're starting to see Carson Strong's not going to play for Nevada. Now you might want to take a shot against them because they've they've lost their coach. He's taken some assistance with him. Strong's not playing. Nevada's interest level for the game might not be good. Some others, though, we don't know if Pickett's going to play. And what I'm hearing is he's not going to play for Pittsburgh. And they're in a pretty big bowl. But we're going to see a flood. The numbers grow every year. A flood of teams that lose a lot of key guys because for business purposes, they decide not to play in the meaningless bowl games. Obviously, we know what the meaningful bowl games are. They're the two playoff games. The rest of them don't mean anything. So my suggestion, even if it costs you a little bit in terms of value, wait and make sure that you're betting on a team that's got a full complement of players, or betting against a team that's losing players.
Right.
So I'm not doing anything early on the Bulls. I might do something this weekend. I think I'm getting to the point where Nevada looks like they might be a play against here. because the drop off from Strong is pretty significant. So that one might get bet, but I'm waiting. I can tell you another team that's probably going to lose a lot of players is LSU. They might have cheerleaders on the field by the time the ball game takes place against Kansas State. But we don't know about Kansas State's quarterback. And Thompson, I don't know if he's playing or not. I don't think he's back at practice yet. There's a big drop off from number 1 to number 2 there. And so you have to take that into consideration. So anyway, be cautious with the Bulls early on.
So I actually threw caution to the wind, and I tried to play into those events happening. So I rolled the dice. So I played against Nevada, thinking to myself, there's no way Carson Strong is playing since his leg was jacked up all year. I didn't know about Norvell. That's the break of a lifetime. So I will tell you, I actually got Western, and I thought Western Michigan's pretty good. I got Western Michigan plus 6.5, Dave.
That's pretty good.
They're now laying 3.5.
Yep.
So I rolled the dice.
That's pretty good. You did well there.
Yeah.
I wish I had done the same thing.
Sometimes you guess right. And I did this more on the motivational thing, but I was also thinking if Kenny Pickett's the top quarterback taken in the draft, he ain't going to play. So Michigan State is now -1. I got Michigan State plus 3.5. So I'm on the right side of those. Some others like
I'm a little worried about Michigan State's best guy.
That's a good
Don't
point.
know if he might not go either.
They heavily lean on Kenneth Walker.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I was kind of banking on too the fired up nature with Mel Tucker and what's going on moving forward. And
I think I saw something that indicated Walker is going to play.
Which by the way, I bet him, dude, don't play.
Oh no! If I were advising Walker, I would say,
no way.
Look, you have reached the point in your football career where you are now a professional. That's your only concern.
That's it.
Okay. I mean, you did well for your team, but now you got to start thinking about yourself.
And by the way,
and if anything happened, I go back to Willis McGahee. At that point, I made my mind up after that guy had that horrible injury in a meaningless ball game. Anybody who's ready for the NFL draft and is going to get drafted high, you are out of your mind if you play any more college football once the regular season is done. For people who don't remember, McGahee, he had a good career, but it wasn't what it could have been. He was an amazing running back. I mean, he was going to me, I believe he was going to be one of the best you saw at that position, and he was never the same after that injury. It was an awful injury.
Can I give you a game that was a real conundrum, and I did bet it because I was banking on Cristobal leaving. I bet Oklahoma 4 against Oregon. Then Cristobal leaves. It's only moved to 5.5 because the problem on the Oklahoma side is you have a lot of transfer portal guys. And does Caleb Williams stay? Like he might. I know. They might head out their freaking quarterback.
Well, and there's one other thing.
Yeah.
Is it really a downgrade to an extent with Cristobal leaving? Might be an upgrade.
Well, they weren't playing great football the last couple of weeks. We know that. Sounds like
I'm not a big Cristobal guy. I know his clock management skills are horrendous.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens at Miami. Boy, Miami, is that program just. Whew. And by the way, for anybody who's feeling bad for Diaz, they really worked him over. They screwed him over. Yeah, well, he screwed Temple over. So what goes around comes around.
He had the job for 2 weeks at Temple and quit?
Yep. Yeah, he did a Chris Beard. One difference, though. Chris Beard, a really good coach. And I'm not sure many Diaz is.
A couple more bowl games because we'll hit this whole schedule as it moves along. Am I misreading Clemson here? Should Clemson
I think they're getting better?
Should Clemson be a dog against Iowa State?
I
they play well.
I think Clemson's starting to put things together. I thought they played their best football at the end of the season. I think that might end up on my card. Now, the downside is how much interest do they have because they're not playing for what they usually play for in the postseason.
Right.
And Iowa State does have a tendency to play up or down to its competition. You would think this would be an up for Iowa State, but Iowa State actually, they are, I think, one of the more disappointing teams in the country this year. Not that they've had a bad season, but this was the year that a lot of people looked at Iowa State and said, potential playoff team, Big 12, look out. They can win it all this year. And they didn't. And it really started from early on. They never really put it together. They had all kinds of trouble with Northern Iowa, as I recall. And maybe part of the reason Matt Campbell wasn't as hot a name on the coaching carousel as he's been since he arrived there. I mean, Matt Campbell was getting named as the front runner for every job out there. And that didn't happen this year.
Dave, he got a 7-year offer for like $90 million from the Lions in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then, and it doesn't really look like anyone made a big run at him unless he's been the number one choice that we don't know of, and he's turned everyone down.
By the way, I did not realize the enormous difference in coaching pay from Nevada to Colorado State.
Is that crazy?
Unbelievable. Norvell is one of the 10 lowest paid head coaches in the FBS. He's not anymore.
Lowest paid guy in the Mountain West Conference at a program. His record overall was 33-26. It wasn't like unreal, but it was good.
Oh yeah.
At a program that has made a bowl game in 14 of 17 years. And I know a lot of people scoff at bowl games, but that's the goal in the Mountain West Conference.
Yes.
Like Boise, every once in a while, Reno's at a level where maybe they can win 10 games and have an outside chance at going 7-0 and dreaming about somehow breaking into the party. But you make 14 of 17 bowl games, and your coach is the lowest paid in the conference. And the other thing is, from what I understand, he did talk to Utah State last year, so it's like they had a warning.
Yep.
Like why did they not extend him and bump him up to whatever, even $1 million? I mean, he may have still left, but at least show some commitment.
I mean, this was a no-brainer.
$625 a year, and they come in and offer $1.8 million. He's got no choice.
No. And Colorado State, new stadium, spending a lot of money, looking to leave the Mountain West, quite frankly, and they probably will in a few years. So it's an upwardly mobile job for Norvell for a lot more money.
And he's a good recruiter. He builds a team. Obviously, his high-powered passing offense is good. He's got giganto receivers, so
yep,
he's a good coach.
He's such an upgrade over Steve Addazio. I mean, you can't get a bigger upgrade.
Yeah, I still gotta get more information as to why, outside of state funding, which sucks in the state, why the football program is so broke.
I don't know.
I mean, that is part of the job of the athletic director. So, and the funny thing is, and I know no one wants to really give her a compliment, but Desiree Reed-Francois did actually raise money in. I mean, I talked about 40 minutes ago about how the fans, I think, have really given up and they won't even pay $40 to go to a game at Mandalay Bay. That lady raised a lot of money, and she got both Otzelberger and Arroyo funded to the tune of $1.5 million with 5-year deals. And I don't think she had to turn to let's say some of the more notorious boosters to get the money, and she got it done. She got the money. Now in the end, Otzelberger left, and by the way, that's a whole nother thing we can talk about. My God, that dude, they beat the shit out of Iowa tonight. He's what is he, 8-0 now?
Yeah.
Oh my God. But anyway, so long story short, that is the AD's job. Part of it is to raise monies, and at Reno, they've hired some good coaches, and he raised enough money. It's a weird deal, isn't it? Like a 10-year deal with Alford, where he started like 1-1, he goes up to like 1-7.
Yep.
So I saw they hired a coach today. I don't know what the pay is going to be. It'll be interesting to see what it is. So
probably not going to be real big,
yeah.
Because if they had that kind of money to throw around, they'd have offered it to Norvell to stay, which to my knowledge they didn't. So,
afterwards, they probably could have boosted them to $1 million. Like,
yeah.
Why didn't they do it? Do it last year. They were 7-2 last year.
No, they've been a good program.
Yep.
They're a solid program. I mean, and he's a good coach.
Well,
But
their
we'll see what
losses.
happens with them because that's kind of it's kind of embarrassing when you lose a coach in conference. That's not a real good thing. So it might be that Reno could be. We'll see if they start sliding back down the ladder now in the Mountain West. And look, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but at least coming out of this season, I think you can look at UNLV and say, you know what, they might not be. I'm not going to say they're going to win the Mountain West or anything like that, but I think there's some legitimate optimism going into next season. They did some decent things this year, and they gained a lot of experience. So,
yeah.
Again, they're probably still maybe a 4-win team or something like that, but it's not as bad as it's been. So maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I think there's there's some. Sorry, this is a funny line. Doug Cross, Reno had the worst locker rooms in the country. From what I saw, they're not good. Obviously, that's a Mike Sanford line. You know what? Going back, Mike did get whiny at times, and I know Mike's back in town. But he wasn't lying. Sam Boyd thought.
Oh no, he wasn't. No,
they were. The facilities were completely ridiculous. And the other thing Chris mentioned, this is a very important thing. Facilities had a lot to do with, I think, Norvell's decision. They, if you remember this preseason, they had all the issues with the wildfires in California, and they actually had to leave Reno, to go practice indoors for a long time over at Stanford. So in that part of the country, it's Nevada, but in northern Nevada, where the weather gets a lot worse than it does here, and they actually
just a little bit.
You do need an indoor facility or the option of an indoor facility to work in. So,
well, the school doesn't have a lot of money. So I think all things considered, you got to take your hat off to how well they've done, despite the fact that they are up against it in terms of facilities. It's been a good It's been a good program.
It's been a really good program. Yep. Can I also throw out if that's part of your AD's job is to raise money, if you have Brian Sandoval working at your school, shouldn't he be able to help as well?
Yeah, I would think so.
Right. So maybe this is the necessary kick in the ass they needed. Because I'm also guessing, so the dude who's going to take over looks like is Ken Wilson, who was there in 2 different stints for 19 years as an assistant. And most recently, he was the co-DC at Oregon. I can't imagine he would take the job without getting some guarantees on some funding. Not only salary, but also, hey, I need money for my assistants. But what are we doing from a facility standpoint? Let's move forward here. So maybe this is the kick in the ass they need. And also a wake-up call to the community, the money people who haven't really been contributing in Reno to hey, if you want to win at football, we are have-nots. We're nowhere near the haves. We got to get some more money here somehow. So we'll see how it works out. Dave, you want to take the 10 with the Raiders this weekend?
No, I don't want any part of the Raiders right now.
Why not?
Well, I played Washington last week, and it was a close game. Could have gone either way. But I think the team is. I think the distractions have started to take a significant toll.
Right.
And they just don't stop. Now you've got the new one, and I don't know what's true or what's not with Jacobs.
Right.
What is it? The report, and he denies it. I have no idea whether it's accurate or not. With the nine, he's 23, 9 kids by 8 women. I think they're going to have to address some issues in the offseason as far as the makeup of the team is concerned. Is that fair to say? And I think what's happened, look, give them credit. The first week after Gruden, they were absolutely great.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's okay, no sweat. They haven't been great since. The Ruggs thing, you can't. I'm sorry. I absolutely will not believe anybody who doesn't think this had an impact on the team. It did. Okay. Those things do. That's something that can fracture a locker room. And it just discontinued. So I think the Raiders are going to struggle the rest of the way. And Mark Davis is going to have to make some sweeping changes in the offseason. Clearly going to have a new coach. The interim coach is not keeping the job. And I think to attract a marquee name or a rising star, I think, it's just my opinion, I think that the candidates are going to require that, hey, look, we need to make some roster changes here and go for different types of guys. I'll put it that way. You know, the most successful organization in the league is clearly the New England Patriots. And the Patriots had a long-standing thing where they are very, very character-driven. They always have been. That's not to say they hit 100%. Right. Nobody does. But the Patriots' mindset as an organization has been very consistent ever since Belichick took over. And I think it has a lot to do with the reason why they never get bad. I mean, right now, they look like they might well be the team to beat in the AFC now, which is amazing. And I think you can look at Mac Jones. Is he the most physically gifted of the quarterbacks that came into the league this year? Nope. Doesn't have great feet. He's not all that athletic, but he's the smartest of them. Okay, he's from the neck up. He's the sharpest, and he's a strong character guy. And this is what the Patriots do. Right. And I think that other teams who maybe have not had as much success in that area, and the Raiders would be very high on that list. It's not the 1980s anymore. Okay, you can't just fill a roster with Mavericks who fit the Al Davis mindset. Back then it worked. I don't think it does anymore. I think you got to be more careful about who you draft and who you go after. And they've made a lot of mistakes, and they're kind of paying for it.
Brady going with my line of thinking, which is owners should just try to screw over other owners by trying to steal away their coaches. Like, because I was saying that this week, I'm like, Mark Davis should at least call up Mike Tomlin and his agent and go, "We'll give you $15 million a year because you're not getting paid enough by the Steelers." To me, they're disrespecting him. They just think he's going to stay around forever. So I actually think Tomlin should be looking at other offers until they know who they have a quarterback next year. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm like, I don't know if I'm staying around here.
I got to tell you, and I know some Steeler fans will disagree with this, but sorry, you don't know what you're talking about. Their roster stinks. The fact they're even in semi-playoff contention,
yep,
that's Tomlin.
Yep.
They've got a bad football team. Roethlisberger's completely done at quarterback. He'll have a few moments like he did tonight, but he's retiring for a reason. He's done. The defense isn't as strong as it's been. They really don't have game breakers on offense. Harris is a rookie. He's the best player in the team. They're kind of a bad team.
So at that point, if you're Tomlin, and I have no idea how much personnel control he has, so maybe this is on him too, but if you're looking around, you're like, we're not exactly rock solid here with the personnel judgment. Maybe I need to be talking to some other people.
Could be.
I don't think he's going to do it.
I don't either.
He's got this undying loyalty, but I can tell, it's a rant I did when Tomlin went, he got a little pissed off about the USC rumors coming from one guy, Carson Palmer. So there weren't really rumors, but I said it at the time, like, loyalty. We'll see if you're not winning, man, how loyal they are in a couple of years. So we'll see how many years you're giving. Especially from the fans. I think the fans will turn on them if they're winning 6-7 games for the next couple of years.
Could be, but I have a feeling Mike Tomlin considers himself a Steeler lifer.
I know he does,
and I can't knock him for that.
Yeah,
I mean he is. They've done a great. Look, it's been a long time since the Steelers really sucked.
Yep.
So, Steeler fans shouldn't be complaining.
He's never had a sub 500 season.
I know. This might be the first.
Jesus, the Jets and Giants are like, can we just have a 500 season?
Really? Yeah.
And I'm sure Tomlin looks at it and he's like, listen, I got what did he get the job when he was 33 years old? So I'm sure he feels like he owes him a little bit. They gave him a chance. So.
Well, and he is royalty.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh. Because I think the majority of the fans, the minorities always make noise as far as fans go. But I think most of the fans probably look and say, hey, you know what?
He's a good match.
He's Steeler through and through, and we like him.
He's a freaking hard scrabble guy, no nonsense, real bulldog. That it matches the city. But we'll see how it goes in a couple of years. So if I'm looking around, I'm like, oh boy, we don't have a quarterback. This is going to be like they better be in the running to get one of these guys who's going to be available. Yeah, at the low end, maybe Kirk Cousins. At the high end, Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson or someone like that. So
I'm going to be fascinated to see what the Raiders' approach is in the offseason. Because this team is now, and again, absolutely mitigating circumstances. But where they were going into the season and where they were in terms of early season performance, they've turned into one of the biggest flops in the league. Yep. I don't think that's overstating. They're a big disappointment at this point. And I think they're going to have to. I don't know that they can fix it in a year, but I think they're going to have to go the overhaul route and start going after a different type of player.
I don't know. I want to find out more about the Jacobs story and also how Jacobs operates. I've never heard anything about Josh Jacobs not being he got in the car accident, which was fishy. But I've never heard about him being, a guy who doesn't work.
No, not at all.
Like, I don't know that he's a bad character guy. I
don't know if the story's true.
There's been a little bit of finger pointing. He's kind of, but that can also be viewed as like, hey, maybe he's one of the guys who's standing up going, this is bullshit. We're not doing what we're supposed to do. So,
yeah, I don't know if the story's true or not. He's denying it. Maybe maybe it's bullshit. I don't know. If it is true, that's not good.
So no Vegas against Kansas City.
No, I think the Chiefs. I don't know if I'll bet it, but I this could be a bad game for the Raiders. I think the Chiefs are showing signs of putting it together.
After what we saw from Buffalo, why is Tampa Bay only 3.5?
Well, I think Buffalo is still a really good football team. I made the number 5, so I've got a little bit higher. But they're not a team I really relish the idea of laying points to. I mean, they're still a very good football team. They got completely game planned on Monday, but they're not going to have to worry about that here. Not in terms of the weather. I mean, they get killed by the weather. And you can point to the coach and say, well, Belichick knew what to do with it. And he did. But that's Belichick. He's the best coach in the NFL. They're not going to have wind and rain and snow conditions in Tampa. I don't think so, unless there's a dramatic shift in the weather. And they need to go down there this weekend with the approach that, hey, we really need this game because the Patriots are about to take control of that division.
Anything else you're looking at? Baltimore, Cleveland, 3, 2.5 Cleveland.
I'll give you a strange one. I mean, the Lions are getting 10 at Denver. I mean, they're going to be feeling good about themselves. They finally got a win. And who's Denver to be laying 10 to anybody? So I'm probably going to take the 10 there.
Yeah.
I think the 49ers beat the Bengals unless they beat themselves, which the 49ers can do. They've done it a few times this year, but they're better than Cincinnati. And what was the other game that I kind of had? I'm a little leery of this one because of the change from Joe Brady out, and sometimes that can spark a team. I think Atlanta hangs with Carolina. I think the Falcons have a good chance to win that game. I don't think I can make it a big play because those coaching changes do sometimes have a real positive impact, but I don't know. I just look at Carolina. And Cam Newton makes a good play every now and then.
Right.
He's not very good anymore, okay? He still has the best celebrations in the league, but that doesn't make him a great player.
No. All right, Dave. Appreciate it. We'll wrap it. Thank you. We'll talk to Dave on terrestrial side back on Monday, and everyone who watched tonight. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back again.